The 3 moons of Draken Prime cast long shadows across the royal palace. Queen Hiyori sat on her throne made of black stone. Her scales shimmered blue and purple in the moonlight. She was tall, strong, and feared across many star systems. The Draconian Empire had conquered 12 planets under her rule. Today, strange visitors had come to her court. They were the Voidwalkers, thin, gray aliens with silver eyes that looked like pools of liquid metal. They moved in a way that seemed both graceful and wrong, like they didn't quite belong in this reality. "The Voidwalkers approach, my queen," announced Sunho, her royal guard. His red scales marked him as a warrior of the highest rank. Queen Hiyori straightened her massive form. Her tail curled around the base of her throne. "Let them come." The court fell silent as 5 Voidwalkers glided into the throne room. 4 of them carried spears made of a strange glowing material. The 5th, clearly their leader, carried a small bundle wrapped in shining cloth. "Great Queen of the Draconian Empire," the leader spoke. His voice sounded like dry leaves blowing in the wind. "We come in peace and bring an offering." Queen Hiyori's yellow eyes narrowed. "The Draconian Empire does not need gifts from the likes of you. Your kind has avoided our space for centuries. Why come now?" The Voidwalker bowed low. "Times change, Queen Hiyori. The stars shift. New threats emerge from the dark spaces between galaxies. We seek an alliance," murmurs spread through the court. The Draconians were proud warriors who rarely formed alliances. They preferred conquest. "And what offering could possibly interest me?" Queen Hiyori asked. Her forked tongue flicked out, tasting the air for signs of deception. The leader stepped forward and carefully unwrapped the bundle. Inside was a small pink creature with no scales or claws. It had a tuft of dark hair on its head and round brown eyes that looked up without fear. "A human infant," the Voidwalker explained, "from a planet called Earth in a distant arm of the galaxy." Queen Hiyori leaned forward, curious despite herself. "A mammal? You offer me a soft, weak mammal as a gift?" "Humans are young as a species, but they learn quickly. They adapt to any environment. They solve problems in ways other species cannot imagine. This male child was chosen for his exceptional genetic potential." The Queen's advisor, Minji, stepped forward. Her green scales marked her as a scholar. "My queen, we have heard stories of these humans. They are primitive but advancing rapidly. Some say they will become a major power in the galaxy within a few centuries." "And why would I want one in my court?" Queen Hiyori demanded. The Voidwalker leader tilted his head. "Consider it an investment in the future. Raise him as you see fit, as a servant, a warrior, or a curiosity. When grown, he could provide valuable insights into human thinking, or serve as a bridge between our worlds." Queen Hiyori rose from her throne. She was twice the height of the Voidwalkers. Her claws could tear through metal. Her breath could melt stone, yet she approached the infant with unexpected gentleness. "Does this creature have a name?" she asked. "Humans are named by those who raise them," the Voidwalker replied. The Queen reached out one clawed finger toward the baby. The court held its breath, expecting the human to cry out in fear. Instead, the infant reached up and grabbed the Queen's talon with his tiny hand. Something changed in Queen Hiyori's expression. For a moment, the hardness in her eyes softened. "I will accept your offering," she declared, "but not as a servant or a curiosity." The Voidwalkers exchanged glances of relief, but their relief turned to surprise at her next words. "If this human is to join my household, he will be raised as a prince of the Draconian Empire." Gasps and hisses of shock filled the throne room. Sunho, the guard captain, stepped forward. "My queen, forgive me, but this is unprecedented." "A non-Draconian as royal family?" Queen Hiyori turned to him, her eyes flashing with anger. "Are you questioning my decision, Captain?" Sunho bowed his head quickly. "Never, my queen." "Good." She turned back to the Voidwalkers. "I accept your alliance. But know this, the child is now mine. He will be raised as a Draconian, with all the rights and responsibilities that entails." The Voidwalker leader bowed deeply. "As you wish, Great Queen. May this mark the beginning of a beneficial relationship between our peoples." After the Voidwalkers left, Queen Hiyori took the human baby to her private chambers. Her personal healer, Doyen, examined the infant carefully. "He appears healthy, my queen," Doyen reported. "But humans require different care than our young. They need more water, different food, and their skin is very sensitive. Learn what you must to keep him healthy," Queen Hiyori ordered. "Gather information about humans from our scouts and spies." "Yes, my queen." Doyen hesitated. May I ask why you have chosen to adopt this alien as your son? You have no children of your own. Queen Hori looked down at the baby, who had fallen asleep in a nest of soft blankets. The Draconian Empire has grown through strength and fear. Perhaps it is time to explore other paths to power. That night, as the three moons aligned in a rare formation, Queen Hori performed the ancient royal naming ceremony. Usually reserved for draconian hatchlings of noble blood, it had never been done for an alien species. She placed a drop of her own blood on the baby's forehead, marking him with the royal sigil. I name you Taiho, Prince of House Draken, heir to my knowledge and strength. May you grow to honor our ways and bring new vision to our empire. The baby, Prince Taiho, looked up at his new mother and smiled. News of the human prince spread quickly through the empire. Many were outraged. Some called it an insult to draconian tradition. Others saw it as a sign of weakness. Let them talk, Queen Hori told Minji as they watched the baby sleep. When they see what he becomes, they will understand. And what do you think he will become? Minji asked. Queen Hori's eyes gleamed in the darkness. Something new. Something neither human nor draconian, but stronger than both. As the years passed, young Prince Taiho faced many challenges. His body was fragile compared to draconian children. He couldn't breathe fire or fly. His skin bruised easily. But he had gifts of his own: quick thinking, remarkable memory, and a way of seeing problems from angles no draconian would consider. Queen Hori assigned the best tutors to teach him draconian combat, history, science, and magic. She also made sure he learned about his human heritage, gathering whatever information could be found about Earth and its people. By his 5th year, Taiho could speak 3 languages and had begun basic combat training with specially made weapons that suited his human form. He was small but quick, using speed and cleverness where draconian children relied on strength and natural weapons. He will never be as physically powerful as a true draconian, Captain Sunho reported after watching a training session. Power takes many forms, Queen Hori replied. Watch and learn, Captain. My son will surprise you yet. And as the 3 moons circled overhead, the human prince of the Draconian Empire grew, caught between 2 worlds but belonging fully to neither, a bridge between species, a new kind of strength in a changing galaxy. 10 years passed since the day Queen Hori accepted the human baby as her son. Prince Taiho was now a boy of 10, with quick eyes and quicker feet. He raced through the crystal halls of the palace, dodging servants and guards with practiced ease. Prince Taiho, called Instructor Doyen, his orange scales flushing darker with effort as he tried to keep up. Your combat training is not finished. Taiho laughed, sliding under a decorative table and popping up on the other side. I completed all the forms you showed me, twice. That was only the beginning of today's lesson, Doyen huffed. At 60 years old, the combat master was young for a draconian, but still too slow to catch a human boy who didn't want to be caught. Taiho spun around a corner and crashed directly into Captain Sunho. The guard captain's hard scales didn't budge, but Taiho bounced off and landed on the floor. Running from your lessons again, young prince? Sunho asked, looking down at the boy with a mixture of disapproval and amusement. Taiho got to his feet and brushed off his training clothes. Not running away. Just finished early. Doyen finally caught up, breathing hard. The prince has yet to complete his defensive drills. I don't need more drills, Taiho argued. The draconian defensive forms don't work well for humans. Our bodies move differently. Sunho crossed his arms. Then show us what does work. Taiho hesitated, then nodded. Attack me. Prince Taiho. Doyen gasped. Captain Sunho could seriously hurt you. He won't, Taiho said confidently. Captain, please. Just try to grab me. Sunho looked to Doyen, who reluctantly nodded. The captain lunged forward, his clawed hand reaching for Taiho's shoulder. But the boy was no longer there. He had dropped and rolled, coming up behind Sunho. Before the captain could turn, Taiho had jumped onto his back, using the ridges of Sunho's scales as handholds. See? Taiho said from his perch on the surprised captain's back. I can't block a draconian attack with strength, but I can avoid it. I've been studying the palace cats. They're small but hard to catch. Sunho reached back to pluck the boy off, but Taiho slipped away again, darting between the captain's legs. Impressive, Sunho admitted. But what happens when you can't dodge? Then I lose, Taiho said simply. unless I have a weapon or tool to help me. That's why I need to be smarter and faster, not just stronger. From a balcony above, Queen Hiyori watched the exchange with her advisor Minji at her side. The human prince continues to adapt, Minji observed, though many in court still question your decision to raise him as your heir. Let them question, Hiyori replied. Taiho sees solutions where we see only obstacles. His different perspective makes our empire stronger. The Grand Council meets tomorrow, Minji reminded her. Lord Kihan will surely raise objections about the succession again. Queen Hiyori's eyes narrowed. Lord Kihan should remember who wears the crown. Later that evening, Taiho sat in his chambers surrounded by holographic displays showing Earth's history and culture. The images showed humans in their cities, their strange clothes, their customs. One display showed human children playing in something called snow. Queen Hiyori entered, ducking her massive head through the doorway. Despite her fearsome appearance, sharp teeth, armored scales, and claws that could tear through metal, her movements were gentle as she approached her son. Studying your birth world again? She asked. Taiho nodded, not looking up. I don't understand them. They look like me, but everything they do seems strange. Hiyori settled beside him, her warmth filling the room. Draconians had higher body temperatures than humans, something Taiho had always found comforting. What troubles you, my son? Lord Kihan's son Beck said I'm not a real prince, Taiho said quietly. He said I'm just a pet you keep for amusement. Anger flashed in the queen's eyes, but she controlled it. And what did you do? I challenged him to a knowledge contest about Draconian history, Taiho said with a small smile. I won. Then he tried to claw me, but I dodged and he fell into the reflection pool. Queen Hiyori laughed, a rumbling sound that shook the room. Well done. Though perhaps we should work on finding solutions that don't end with the sons of council lords getting wet. Taiho's smile faded. It doesn't matter. He's right that I'm different. I'll never breathe fire or fly or have scales. I'm not draconian, but I don't know how to be human either. I don't belong anywhere. You belong here with me, Hiyori said firmly. You are my son in all ways that matter. But the court nobles say I'm weak, that I'll never be a true prince. Then show them what human strength looks like, she said, touching his cheek with a gentle claw. It may not be in scales or fire, but I've seen it in you since the day you arrived. The next day, Taiho stood beside his mother's throne as the Grand Council gathered. 12 draconian lords and ladies, each representing a major province of the empire, took their places in the circular chamber. Their scales showed a rainbow of colors, red, green, blue, gold, and black, marking their different bloodlines. Lord Kihan, his black scales marking him as a distant cousin to the royal line, spoke first. My queen, we must discuss the matter of succession. The human prince is now 10 years old, yet he shows none of the traditional draconian strengths. How can he lead our warriors in battle? How can he command respect from our allies and enemies? Murmurs of agreement rippled through the council. Taiho stood straight, trying not to show how much the words hurt. Queen Hiyori's voice was cold. Are you suggesting that I, your queen, have made a poor choice of heir? Lord Kihan bowed his head slightly. I suggest only that tradition must be respected. Perhaps the human would be better suited as an advisor rather than a ruler. I will prove myself, Taiho said suddenly. All eyes turned to him in surprise. Young princes rarely spoke in council. And how will you do that, little human? Asked Lady Sora, her golden scales gleaming. I challenge any young draconian of my age to 3 tests, Taiho declared. 1 of body, 1 of mind, and 1 of spirit. If I lose all 3, I will accept a position as advisor instead of prince. The council chamber erupted in discussion. Queen Hiyori leaned down to whisper to her son. Are you certain of this? You need not prove yourself to them. Yes, I do. Taiho whispered back. And I need to prove it to myself. The queen straightened and raised her hand for silence. My son has spoken. The challenge will take place in 7 days. Each council member may select 1 champion of appropriate age. Lord Kihan smiled, showing sharp teeth. My son Bayek will represent my house. One by one, the other council members named their champions. When they finished, Taiho would face 12 young draconians, each trained from hatching as warriors and leaders. That night, Taiho couldn't sleep. He went to the palace training grounds and found Captain Sunho there, practicing with his spear in the light of the 3 moons. You've set yourself a difficult task, young prince, Sunho said, not pausing in his movements. Will you help me prepare? Taiho asked. Sunho stopped and looked at the human boy. Why should I? Many believe a human has no place in the royal line. What do you believe, Captain? Sunho was silent for a long moment. I believe that anyone willing to fight for the Empire deserves a chance to prove their worth. He tossed a training staff to Taiho. Let's begin now. You have much to learn and little time. For the next 7 days, Taiho trained harder than ever before. By day, he worked with Sunho on combat and with Minji on draconian law and history. By night, he meditated with Doyun, strengthening his spirit. On the day of the challenge, the entire court gathered in the great arena. Queen Hiyori sat on a special throne, watching as Taiho entered the arena alone. He wore simple training clothes, carrying no weapons. The 12 young draconian champions entered from the opposite side, their scales gleaming in the sunlight. They were all bigger and stronger than Taiho. Baek, Lord Kihan's son, led them with a confident smile. Let the challenge begin, Queen Hiyori announced. May the strongest body, sharpest mind, and purest spirit prevail. Taiho took a deep breath and stepped forward to face his first test, knowing that his future, and perhaps the future of the Draconian Empire, would be decided by what happened next. The great arena was packed with Draconians of all ranks. Their scales glittered under the bright sun of Draken Prime. In the center stood Prince Taiho, looking small compared to the 12 young Draconian champions. Queen Hiyori watched from her royal box, her face showing no emotion. The first test will be of the body, announced Minji, the royal advisor. A race through the warrior's path. The crowd roared with approval. The warrior's path was a famous obstacle course used to train Draconian soldiers. It had high walls to climb, fire pits to cross, and narrow bridges over deep water. A challenge even for young Draconians with their natural strength and wings. The human will fail before the first fire pit, Lord Kihan said loudly enough for many to hear. Taiho ignored the comment. He had spent the last week studying the course with Captain Sunho. He knew he couldn't win using draconian methods. The 13 competitors lined up at the starting point. Taiho stood at the end next to Baek, who gave him a mocking smile. Begin, Minji shouted, and the race started. The young Draconians immediately pulled ahead, their powerful legs carrying them faster than Taiho could run. By the time they reached the first obstacle, a 10-foot wall, they were far ahead. The Draconians began climbing the wall using their claws. Taiho reached the wall last but didn't try to climb it directly. Instead, he ran to a nearby post, jumped to grab it, and swung himself up and over the wall in one smooth motion. The crowd murmured in surprise. Taiho landed on the other side just as the slower Draconians were still climbing. Next came the fire pit. The young Draconians simply spread their wings and flew across. Taiho had no wings, but he had prepared for this. He pulled out a small device from his pocket, a grappling hook he had built in the palace workshop. He threw it to catch on a beam above the pit, then swung across like a pendulum. The human uses tools, someone shouted from the crowd. No rule against it, Queen Hiyori called back. Cleverness is a form of strength. Throughout the course, Taiho used speed and creative thinking where the Draconians used raw power. At the water crossing, instead of trying to balance on the narrow bridge, he dove into the water and swam across, something most Draconians avoided since their heavy bodies didn't float well. By the final stretch, Taiho had moved from last place to fourth. Ahead of him, Baek and 2 others raced for the finish line. Taiho pushed himself harder, his lungs burning, his legs aching. He passed the third-place Draconian, then the second. Only Baek remained ahead, looking back in shock to see the human so close. In his surprise, Baek stumbled slightly. Taiho seized the opportunity and sprinted past him, crossing the finish line first. The arena fell silent, then erupted in a mix of cheers and angry shouts. A human had never won the warrior's path before. The first test goes to Prince Taiho, Minji announced. The test of the body is complete. Baek approached Taiho, his eyes narrow with anger. You cheated. You used tools and tricks. I used what I had, Taiho replied, still catching his breath. Just as you used your wings and claws. The second test began after a short rest. This was the test of the mind, a complex puzzle game called Starfall that had been played by Draconians for thousands of years. Players had to predict the movement of stars on a 3-dimensional board, capturing their opponent's pieces by creating patterns. Taiho faced each champion in turn. The game required deep strategic thinking and memory. Most expected the human to lose badly, but they were surprised. Taiho had studied Starfall since he was 5 years old. He won 9 matches and lost only 3. The second test also goes to Prince Taiho, Minji announced. He has proven his mind worthy. Lord Kihan stood up from his seat. 2 tests mean nothing if he fails the third. The test of spirit will show his true weakness. The final test was held as the 3 moons began to rise. The test of spirit was the most mysterious and difficult. Each competitor would enter the sacred cave alone and face the guardian, an ancient draconian spirit that could look into one's heart and find any fear or doubt. One by one, the young draconians entered the cave. Some emerged quickly, shaking with fear. Others lasted longer, but still came out with heads bowed in defeat. Only 3 passed the test, Beck and 2 others. Finally, it was Taiho's turn. He walked to the dark entrance of the cave, feeling the eyes of the entire court on his back. "Remember who you are," Queen Hiyori said softly as he passed her. Inside the cave, darkness swallowed Taiho. He could see nothing, hear nothing. Then slowly, a light began to glow. It took the shape of a massive draconian made of pure energy, its eyes ancient and knowing. "Human child," the guardian spoke directly into Taiho's mind. "Why do you come to a test meant for draconians?" "I am Prince Taiho of House Draken," he answered firmly. "Queen Hiyori's son. You are human," the guardian replied. "Born of Earth, not Draken Prime. Your blood is not of the royal line." Suddenly, images flashed around Taiho. Visions of Earth, of human families, of children who looked like him playing and learning with their own kind. "This is where you belong," the guardian whispered. "With your own people, not pretending to be what you can never be." Taiho felt doubt creep into his heart. Was the guardian right? Was he just pretending? Then he remembered Queen Hiyori's words. "Remember who you are." "I am both," Taiho said aloud. "Human by birth, draconian by raising. I don't have to choose one or the other." "The court will never accept a half thing as their prince," the guardian warned. "Then I will show them something new," Taiho replied. "A bridge between worlds. A different kind of strength." The guardian was silent for a long moment. Then it grew larger, its light filling the cave. "Look into your heart, human child. What do you fear most?" More images appeared. Taiho standing alone as both humans and draconians turned away from him. Queen Hiyori looking at him with disappointment. The draconian empire falling because of his weakness. "I fear failing those who believe in me," Taiho admitted. "I fear being neither human nor draconian, belonging nowhere." "And yet you stand before me," the guardian noted. "Facing your fear. Because running from it won't make it go away," Taiho said. "My mother taught me that." The guardian's light began to fade. "You have answered well, Prince Taiho. Not as a draconian would, but with honesty and courage nonetheless." When Taiho emerged from the cave, the 3 moons were high in the sky. The court waited in silence. He walked with steady steps to stand before Queen Hiyori. "The guardian has judged," announced an ancient priestess who stood at the cave entrance. "Prince Taiho has passed the test of spirit." Cheers broke out from some parts of the crowd. Others remained silent, surprised or unhappy with the result. Queen Hiyori stood and spread her wings wide, calling for silence. "My son has faced your challenge and proven himself worthy in body, mind, and spirit. Does any member of the council still question his place as Prince of the Draconian Empire?" Lord Kihan stepped forward. "The tests were passed, this is true. But there are no buts in Draconian law, Lord Kihan," Queen Hiyori interrupted. "The challenge was given and met. Prince Taiho remains my heir." That night a great feast was held in the palace. Taiho sat at the high table beside his mother, accepting congratulations from court members who had doubted him just days before. "They changed their minds quickly," Taiho observed. "Draconians respect strength," Queen Hiyori replied. "You showed them a different kind of strength today." "Not everyone is convinced," Taiho said, noticing Lord Kihan and several others speaking in low voices at a far table. "No," the queen agreed. "Some never will be. That is the burden of leadership. You cannot please everyone." Taiho nodded, understanding that today's victory was just the beginning. He had proven himself worthy to be called prince, but the greater challenge lay ahead, becoming the kind of leader who could unite not just draconians, but perhaps someday humans too. As the feast continued, Captain Sunho approached and bowed. "You did well today, Prince Taiho. I would be honored to continue your combat training." Taiho smiled. "Thank you, Captain. I have much more to learn." "We all do," Sunho replied, looking meaningfully at the other draconians. Perhaps you have as much to teach us as we have to teach you. 8 years passed since Taiho's challenge in the great arena. The human prince was now 18, no longer a boy but a young man. He had grown tall for a human, though still much smaller than adult draconians. His body was lean and strong from years of special training. Today, Prince Taiho stood on the landing platform of the royal palace, watching a ship descend from the sky. It was not a draconian ship with its typical sharp angles and red markings. This vessel was smooth and white, with blue lights glowing along its sides. "The Voidwalker delegation has arrived," announced Minji, who had served as royal advisor for all of Taiho's life. Her green scales had faded slightly with age, but her mind remained sharp. Right on time, Taiho noted. He wore formal draconian royal armor, specially made to fit his human body. It mimicked the look of scales while allowing him the freedom of movement humans needed. Queen Hiyori joined them on the platform. She moved more slowly these days, but her presence still commanded respect and fear. "Remember, my son, the Voidwalkers are clever negotiators. They rarely reveal their true purpose at first." "I remember, Mother," Taiho replied. "They're the ones who brought me to you after all." The ship landed with barely a sound. Its door opened, revealing 3 Voidwalkers. They glided down the ramp, their silver eyes taking in everything around them. "Queen Hiyori of the Draconian Empire," the lead Voidwalker said, bowing low. "We bring greetings from the Void Collective." "Welcome to Draken Prime," the Queen replied formally. "This is Prince Taiho, my son and heir." The Voidwalker studied Taiho with obvious interest. "The human child has grown well," the leader observed. "We are pleased our offering proved valuable." Taiho stepped forward. "I am not an offering anymore. I am a prince of House Draken." The Voidwalker tilted his head. "Of course, Prince Taiho. No offense was meant." The delegation was escorted to the royal meeting chamber where talks would begin. The Voidwalkers claimed they wanted to discuss trade routes and defense against a new threat in the outer systems. But Taiho sensed they had another purpose. During a break in the talks, Taiho approached the lead Voidwalker, who stood alone looking at a star map. "You didn't come just to discuss trade routes," Taiho said directly. "What is your real purpose here?" The Voidwalker's silver eyes seemed to swirl like liquid. "Perceptive, just as we hoped you would be." "You are right, Prince Taiho. We have detected something concerning. A ship from Earth has entered this sector of space." Taiho felt his heart beat faster. "Humans here?" "Yes. They call their ship the Horizon Seeker. It appears to be an exploration vessel. They have advanced greatly in the years since we acquired you." "Does my mother know about this?" "Not yet. We thought perhaps you should be the one to tell her." Taiho frowned. "Why would you give me this information first?" The Voidwalker made a gesture that might have been a shrug. "We are curious how you will react. You are unique, a human raised as draconian royalty. Your perspective is valuable to us." That evening, Taiho told Queen Hiyori about the human ship. They stood on her private balcony, watching the 3 moons rise. "So humans have finally reached this part of space," she said, her voice thoughtful. "Sooner than expected. What will we do?" Taiho asked. "Standard protocol would be to capture any unauthorized ship in our territory." Queen Hiyori looked at her son. "Is that what you think we should do?" Taiho hesitated. I would like to meet them. To see humans with my own eyes, not just in recordings. You are curious about your birth people. That's natural." The Queen was quiet for a moment. "Very well. We will invite them to a formal meeting. But be prepared, my son. They may not see you as you see yourself." 3 days later, the Horizon Seeker entered orbit around Draken Prime. Captain Jiwoo Kim stood on her bridge, staring at the view screen with wonder. "It's beautiful," she said, looking at the planet below. 3 moons hung in the sky above it, and the capital city glittered like jewels spread across the main continent. "Captain, we're being hailed," her communications officer reported. "On screen," Jiwoo ordered, straightening her blue uniform. The image that appeared shocked everyone on the bridge. A human man in draconian regalia, flanked by reptilian guards. "This is Prince Taiho of the Draconian Empire, welcoming the Horizon Seeker to our space." Stunned silence followed before Captain Kim found her voice. We expected to meet draconians, not humans." "You have," Taiho replied with a smile. "I am draconian by culture and upbringing, human only by birth." Captain Kim looked confused. "I don't understand. How is a human the prince of the Draconian Empire?" "It's a long story," Taiho said. "One I would be happy to share when you visit the palace. Queen Hiyori invites you and your senior officers to a formal reception tomorrow. After the communication ended, the bridge of the Horizon Seeker erupted in excited discussion. A human prince? Among the Draconians? First Officer Hana exclaimed. How is that possible? We've heard stories about humans disappearing from remote colonies, Science Officer Do-hyun said. Could he be one of them? Captain Kim silenced them with a raised hand. Whatever the explanation, this is a historic opportunity. We'll accept the invitation but stay alert. This could be some kind of trick. The next day, Captain Kim led a team of 5 officers to the palace. They landed in a small shuttle and were escorted by Draconian guards to the grand reception hall. Taiho waited with Queen Hiyori on her throne. He felt strangely nervous. These were the first humans he had seen in person since he was a baby. The Earth delegation entered, looking around in awe at the massive crystal columns and high ceilings. Captain Kim stepped forward and bowed. Queen Hiyori, thank you for your invitation. I am Captain Ji-woo Kim of the Earth exploration vessel Horizon Seeker. Queen Hiyori nodded regally. Welcome to Draken Prime, Captain. I believe you have already met my son, Prince Taeho. Taeho stepped down from the dais and approached the humans. They stared at him with undisguised curiosity. It's an honor to meet you all, he said in perfect English, a language he had learned from the palace database. How did you come to be here? Captain Kim asked directly. Were you taken from Earth? Taeho glanced at his mother, who nodded permission to speak freely. I was brought here as an infant by the Voidwalkers. Queen Hiyori accepted me as her son and raised me as a prince of the Empire. The Voidwalkers? First Officer Hana repeated. The gray aliens who've been observed near our outer colonies? Yes, they sometimes act as intermediaries between species. Science Officer Do-hyun stepped forward. Prince Taeho, do you know where on Earth you came from? Your family might still be looking for you. Taeho shook his head. I know only that I am human. I have no memory of Earth or any human family. After the formal introductions, Queen Hiyori invited the Earth officers to a feast. As they walked to the dining hall, Captain Kim moved to walk beside Taeho. This must be strange for you, she said quietly, meeting your own species for the first time. It is, Taeho admitted. I've studied humans all my life, but seeing you in person is different. You could come back with us, she suggested. Visit Earth, learn about your heritage. Taeho looked surprised. I hadn't considered that possibility. The feast was a curious affair. The humans tried draconian food with varying degrees of success. Taeho answered countless questions about his life in the palace. Queen Hiyori watched it all with careful eyes. Later, when the Earth officers had returned to their ship, Taeho sat with his mother in her private chambers. They want me to visit Earth, he told her. Queen Hiyori's expression didn't change. And do you want to go? I'm curious, Taeho admitted. But Draken Prime is my home. You are my family. You can have both, my son. The Queen said gently. Perhaps it is time for you to learn about your birth world. It might make you a better ruler when the time comes. You would let me go? Not alone, she said firmly. You would go as Prince Taeho of the Draconian Empire, with a proper guard and diplomatic status. And you would return? Taeho took his mother's clawed hand in his. I will always return, Mother. My place is here, with you. As the 3 moons aligned in the night sky, Prince Taeho looked up at the stars, wondering about the planet called Earth and what it might teach him about himself. For the first time in his life, he had a chance to explore the other half of his identity, not just as a draconian prince, but as a human being. 6 months had passed since the Horizon Seeker first arrived at Draken Prime. In that time, much had changed. A small Earth embassy had been established in the capital city. Trade talks had begun between humans and Draconians, and Prince Taeho had become a bridge between 2 very different worlds. Today, Taeho stood in the new Human-Draconian Cultural Center, watching workers install the final displays. The building combined Earth and Draconian architectural styles, curved glass walls supported by strong crystal pillars. Inside, visitors could learn about both cultures. What do you think, Prince Taeho? Asked Hana, who had left her position on the Horizon Seeker to become Earth's first ambassador to the Draconian Empire. It's perfect, Taeho replied. A true meeting place for our peoples. The center had been Taeho's idea. After his brief visit to Earth 3 months ago, He had returned with a vision of bringing the two worlds closer together. Queen Hiyori had supported his plan, though some in the Draconian court remained suspicious of humans. "The first tour group from Earth arrives tomorrow," Hana said. 20 scientists and cultural experts. "They're very excited to meet you." Taiho smiled. "I look forward to meeting them too." His trip to Earth had been eye-opening. For 2 weeks he had explored the human homeworld, visiting cities, forests, oceans, and deserts. He had met with Earth's leaders and ordinary people alike. Everywhere he went, crowds gathered to see the Dragon Prince, the human raised by Draconians. Some had called him a traitor to humanity. Others saw him as a hero. Most were simply curious about the young man who moved with the grace of a predator and spoke with the formal tones of Draconian royalty. Taiho had brought back many gifts from Earth: books, music, art, and food. But the most valuable thing he gained was understanding. He now knew both sides of himself better. As Taiho and Hana walked through the center, Captain Sunho approached them. The captain had been Taiho's guard and teacher for many years. Now his red scales showed signs of age, but he remained a formidable warrior. "Prince Taiho," Sunho said with a bow, "the Queen requests your presence in the royal chambers immediately." Taiho frowned. "Is something wrong?" Her Majesty did not say, but she seemed concerned. Taiho excused himself and hurried to the palace. He found Queen Hiyori in her private meditation room, surrounded by glowing crystals that helped Draconians focus their thoughts. Her scales, once vibrant blue and purple, had dulled slightly with age. "Mother, you wanted to see me?" Queen Hiyori opened her eyes. "Yes, my son. I have received troubling news. Lord Kihan and several other council members have been meeting in secret. My spies report they are unhappy with our new relationship with Earth." Taiho wasn't surprised. Lord Kihan had opposed him since childhood. "What are they planning?" "I'm not certain. But there are whispers of preserving Draconian purity and removing human influence." The Queen's eyes narrowed. "I fear they may move against you." "Let them try," Taiho said confidently. "I've faced their challenges before." Queen Hiyori rose from her meditation cushion. "This is different. Before they questioned your right to be prince. Now they question my judgment in allowing humans into our empire." She placed a clawed hand on his shoulder. "Be careful, my son. Watch your back." That night Taiho couldn't sleep. He left his chambers and went to the palace training grounds. The 3 moons lit the area with silver light. He began practicing with his favorite weapon, a staff designed to use his human speed and agility to best advantage. He sensed movement in the shadows and stopped. "Who's there?" "Just me, Prince Taiho," said a familiar voice. Minji stepped into the moonlight. "I often walk the grounds when I cannot sleep." "What keeps you awake, old friend?" Taiho asked, lowering his staff. Minji sighed. "The same concerns that trouble the Queen, I imagine. Change comes quickly to our empire these days. Not everyone welcomes it." "Do you welcome it?" Taiho asked directly. "I welcome progress," Minji replied carefully. "But I worry about losing what makes us Draconian." "We won't lose anything," Taiho assured her. "We'll only gain new perspectives, new ideas." Minji nodded but didn't seem convinced. "I hope you're right, Prince Taiho, for all our sakes." The next morning, Taiho greeted the first tour group from Earth at the Cultural Center. The humans stared in wonder at the Draconian architecture and art. They asked many questions about Draconian history and customs. "Is it true that Draconians can breathe fire?" asked one scientist. "Some can," Taiho explained. "It depends on their bloodline. The royal line, like Queen Hiyori, has the strongest fire." "And you?" asked another visitor. "Do you have any Draconian abilities?" Taiho smiled. "I'm fully human physically. But I was raised with Draconian values: strength, honor, and duty to the Empire." As the tour continued, Taiho noticed several Draconian nobles watching from a distance. Lord Kihan's son Beck was among them. They whispered to each other and cast dark looks at the human visitors. That evening, a formal dinner was held at the palace to welcome the Earth delegation. Queen Hiyori presided, with Taiho at her right hand. The Great Hall was decorated with symbols from both worlds: Draconian fire crystals and earth flowers. "Today marks a new chapter in the history of our peoples," Queen Hiyori announced. "For too long the stars have kept us apart. Now we begin a journey together." The dinner went well until dessert was served. As Taiho raised his cup to drink, Captain Sunho suddenly appeared beside him and knocked the cup from his hand. The prince's drink has been poisoned, Sunho announced. The hall erupted in chaos. Guards surrounded the queen and Taiho. The Earth visitors were rushed to safety. Sunho ordered the servers detained and the spilled drink collected for testing. Hours later, in a secure room, Queen Hiyori raged. Who dares to attack my son in my own palace? The poison was dragon's bane, Sunho reported. It affects only those with draconian blood. It would not have harmed Prince Taiho. Then what was the purpose? Taiho wondered. To cause exactly this chaos, Minji suggested. To disrupt the dinner and frighten the Earth delegation. And it worked, Taiho said grimly. Ambassador Hana tells me several of the visitors want to leave immediately. Queen Hiyori's eyes blazed with anger. Find who did this, Captain Sunho. I want them brought before me. That night, as Taiho prepared for bed, he heard a soft noise at his window. He grabbed his staff and moved silently to the side of the window. A dark figure slipped into the room. Taiho struck quickly, knocking the intruder to the floor and pressing his staff against their throat. In the dim light, he recognized the face. Beck, what are you doing here? Lord Kihan's son struggled to speak with the staff pressing on his neck. I came to warn you. Taiho eased the pressure slightly but kept Beck pinned. Warn me about what? The poison? Was that your doing? No, Beck insisted. I had nothing to do with that. But I know who did. My father and his allies plan to remove you and the queen. They believe the empire has grown weak under her rule, allowing humans to gain influence. Why would you betray your own father to warn me? Taiho asked suspiciously. Beck's eyes showed fear. Because their plan won't just hurt you and the queen. It will start a war with Earth. They plan to attack the Earth embassy tomorrow night. Taiho released Bayek and stepped back. If you're lying, I'm not, Beck said, rubbing his throat. I've disagreed with you since we were children, Taiho. But I don't want war. My father has gone too far. Taiho made a quick decision. Come with me to the queen. Tell her everything. By morning, the palace guard had arrested Lord Kihan and 6 other conspirators. They found weapons and plans for attacking the Earth embassy. Queen Hiyori ordered a public trial to show both draconians and humans that such actions would not be tolerated. 1 week later, Taiho stood with Queen Yori on the palace balcony, addressing a crowd of draconians and humans. The attempt to divide our peoples has failed, the queen declared. Instead, it has shown that we can work together against those who choose hatred over progress. Taiho stepped forward. I am both human and draconian, not by blood but by choice. Each of us can choose to see differences as strengths rather than weaknesses. Together, we can build something greater than either of our worlds could achieve alone. As the crowd cheered, Taiho looked up at the sky. Somewhere out there, the Voidwalkers were watching. Had they planned this all along? Had they known that bringing a human baby to the Dragon Queen would someday unite 2 powerful species? Whatever their plan had been, Taiho had his own vision now. A future where humans and draconians explored the stars together. A future where being different was valued, not feared. Queen Hiyori placed her hand on his shoulder. You will make a fine ruler one day, my son. I learned from the best, Taiho replied, smiling at his mother, the Dragon Queen who had raised a human as her prince and changed 2 worlds forever.